Well, many people are tired of hearing about tariffs, but it is important to know how they will affect you.
Yeah, this afternoon we want to also examine whether it's even possible to make things again in America on the scale that we actually need them.
ABC 7 News reporter Leanne Melendez is here now with a look at the challenges we would face. Leanne?
The question is, can we put the genie back in the bottle?
Yeah, is it doable?
Is it doable? And President Trump says he wants to bring back manufacturing jobs, but Americans have been so out of the loop that the question is, will people even go for these jobs? We are now focused on automation and AI, that now we may need workers with more specialized skills.
It will not eliminate the tariffs.
Rising prices.
A tariff surcharge.
We know tariffs will rattle your world. Let's take it one garment at a time.
For example, this jacket was made in Vietnam, and President Trump has proposed a 46% tariff on that country.
Lance Hastings is with the California Manufacturers and Technology Association.
If that jacket were $100, it would be at least $46 more.
Note the emphasis on the term "at least," because there is always a retail markup.
Now let's look at some of the things we simply cannot live without, like the iPhone. What if the iPhone was made and assembled here in America?
Everyone is betting the price would be untenable for some consumers. Economist Stephen Levy.
I think 90% is a reasonable number, almost double.
Let's take the Apple Watch. The display is made in Japan and South Korea. The processor and sensor are made in the United States, Taiwan, and Europe. The lithium battery in China.
Cheaper labor costs is what keeps prices within reach. But that's not what worries many tech and manufacturing companies here in America. China, which makes 70% of what goes into an iPhone, uses highly skilled labor.
Our big limiter here is the workforce. We just haven't been training people for these roles.
But that's not the message the White House is sending. A reporter asked if President Trump really believes that kind of labor can be transferred to the U.S.
Absolutely. He believes we have the labor, we have the workforce, we have the resources to do it.
But in a recent interview, Apple's CEO stated that America's workforce lacks certain critical skills. Tim Cook said, in the U.S., you could have a meeting of tooling engineers, and I'm not sure we could fill a room. In China, you could fill multiple football fields.
So that is a specialized type of machinist who would actually take raw material and make the jigs fixtures according to the engineer's design.
Let's simplify that. Take this 5-axis laser cutting machine. That piece in the middle was made by a tooling engineer to specifically help rotate the raw material used to design an object, in this case, this baby Yoda.
So like all those little wrinkles are put in there just with very, very small cuts with a very small tool following this complex path. And this is only possible because we can orient the part, right, at many different angles.
A somewhat similar process applies to the iPhone.
At every stage of this, there's tooling that needs to be designed.
How did America lose its grip on manufacturing? Since the 1970s and 80s, American companies have been outsourcing manufacturing to other countries. And don't deny it, for the most part, we have all benefited from it.
And it did take probably close to 50 years for those jobs to offshore, and it would take decades to reshore at the scale that we need to keep up with the American consumption habits.
So we don't have the institutions to train the people in trades at the numbers we need.
If America wants to hit the reset button, community colleges will be essential in reviving U.S. manufacturing. Laney College in Oakland is one of a handful of colleges with a machine technology department.
What is it?
This is a what's called a Cassegrain style telescope. So students make this all from scratch in-house. My students are starting out entry level, $30 an hour.
Let's pause there. That's a little more than $62,000 a year. That's the starting salary for an Oakland teacher who graduated with a 4-year college degree. Go on.
And then you can top out right around $60, $65 an hour. It depends a lot on which subsegment of the industry you're in. We would need to increase our capacity but we would also need to build more training facilities. And we would really need to get people not just at the community college level once they've already gone through high school. We need to introduce students in middle school, high school to manufacturing, to robotics at a very, very early stage.
But instead, many of us have focused on that 4-year university education rather than a trade, thinking it will lead to higher paying jobs. Now, people are finally realizing that that is not always the case. A Gallup survey found that public sentiment is changing and people are seeing the value of a career training. And I don't want to veer off topic here, but it's absolutely true. I mean, have you seen the price you have to pay for a plumber?
Oh, absolutely. And of course there is a need for that. But
Absolutely.
let's say...
But the stigma has always been there.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But that aside, let's say people want to be trained, right? How long does it take for you to hit like that kind of scale where you have enough people where you can set up the ecosystem and actually start making all the things that...
That's right. So I asked that question and the person from Laney College said at least 10 years. Others say 20 years, 30 years. I mean, we haven't had this in 50 years, and now they want to build it back up.
But political
so it's going
cycles
to
are
take
much
such a
shorter than
long
that.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then it's
Yeah,
not
right.
just the people, but also the actual factories themselves to build that too. That's another piece. of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think, you know, people are beginning to think, let's go to trade and see what happens. But at the same time, I think, as you were indicating, you know, we have to advance in when it comes to technology and so forth. So are we going back to the way it was?
Right. Where it's more labor intensive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And,
then
do
AI.
they want it?
People want those jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Very
know.
good questions.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.